Hey, Sam, good to be with you. Could you maybe talk about how this has impacted you personally and just the delay of spring ball? You know, how you guys are going to deal with that?
Well, obviously, we were really excited to get out and see our kids perform and let them get to know the coaches better, us get to know them better, put them in some stressful situations, see how they react. But we weren't able to. Reaction is probably the same as everybody out there. We're trying to figure out how we can work hard via Zoom and some things of that nature to visit with our kids, and we're trying to put a stampede on recruiting. So those things, we're staying plenty busy. It's just not exactly what we thought we'd be doing at this point in time.
I got you. And just personally, how are you and Jamie going about your daily business? How much time do you spend in the office and how much time at home?
Well, I've spent every day in the office. Today was the first day that we did not come in as a full staff. There's been guys in and out, but today is our first day basically where we said, hey, we're not going to meet at 7:30 in the morning. So I really haven't had too much time off yet, but we're going to take this spring break as spring break. And then if they'll let us come back in and work here, we will do that. We're kind of doing a little bit of a test run this week to see if we could do everything out of the office as well or as efficient as we could in the office. So we'll know a little bit more about that midweek, Thursday or Friday of this following upcoming week.
Okay. Football, obviously one of the biggest rosters on any campus. Have you been able to track everyone? Is everyone back home, or you got some players on campus still too?
As of yesterday, we had 21 kids that were here. Nobody on campus. All our young kids that were living in the quad, in the dorms, are not here. They're back home. But we had those number of kids. A lot of them were working with rehab. Not a lot of them. Some of them were working with rehab. But yeah, every day we have a tracking basically through our coaches of where each one of our kids are, and most of them, I'd say at least 80%, maybe higher, are at home.
All right, and my final one for this round would be when football's resumed, you may be working in a different schedule, a more compact schedule, a hotter time of the year. Are these the types of things you guys are trying to talk through right now with the uncertainty?
Well, we haven't really got into assumptions of when it's starting right now. This week we concentrated more on recruiting, including 2022 kids, and the well-being of our players and their families, just making sure that we were communicating with them on a daily basis. But you have fall camp starts in August. You have July that, they've been running and getting in shape. I'm sure there's going to be an acquisition period. We can't just bring them back and immediately start football, So we've been talking with our strength staff about those things. They are, as far as we know, they're telling us that they're working out each day, and so we're trying to keep them in shape and trying not to lose the gains that we've made.
Okay, thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Trey? Hey, Coach. It's Trey Biddy. So,
hey, Trey.
I was wondering, Coach, this off season, who has made some of the biggest jumps in workouts, maybe guys that have really impressed you, and any weight numbers or, lifting numbers or anything you can share with us?
Well, I can tell you that the secondary as a whole, been really pleased with that group. Jalen Catalon has really had a good off season, along with Bush and McCullough. I think that's probably been the most surprising group. I don't know if surprising is a word, but we're pleased with the depth there. Slusher's come in and done well. Simeon Blair is a guy who works crazy hard. So that group, the O-line group has been, and right now with Clary and Gatlin and Wagner, they're all a little bit on a limited basis. But the guy probably in that group that has stood out, work ethic, there's two of them. They all work hard, but Shane Clennon and Ricky Stromberg have really done some things. Ricky's gained, 25, maybe 28 pounds. He's right at 300 right now. Clennon looks really, really good, I think. And of course, Myrie Cunningham's getting up around that 300 mark too. So those guys have gained a lot of strength. Felipe Franks has certainly, that ankle has healed. I don't know that he's 100% yet, but he might be 90, 95. He's looking really good. KJ Jefferson is the same way. And then, I tell you, guys, there's several guys that stick out at the wide receiver spot, but Mike Woods works his tail off. And Traylon Burks, for being a big kid, can really run and has some good hips and things. So there's been, I'll tell you, Blake Kern at tight end, he's a workaholic now. And that group there with Henry and Bax, and we've moved Blaine Toll over there. Those guys have performed really well. And running backs, of course, you have Rakeem, but Traylon Smith has stood out. I mean, he's done good along with Spivey, and certainly Hammond has too. So we're pleased with a bunch of areas. Linebacker group, they're a little beat up with Henry and Poole being out, but Grant Morgan and Deion Edwards, they have both, they probably put on 10, 12 pounds apiece and moving really well. And then your D-line group, the guys that have been standing out there is probably number one, probably Jonathan Marshall. Dorian Gerald has had a good off season, and Solee, we're still trying to get more weight on Solee. He's a very good athletic player. We're trying to get some there, and then I'd be remiss not to mention Zach Zymos, because I think he's had some weight gains. He's probably 10 to 12 pounds heavier than what he was, and we're looking forward to working with him. I think he can do some things because he can really run. And then the last one would be Andrew Parker. I think he's had a really good off season as well. Really pleased with the off season. I'm really thankful to have Jamil Walker here as the strength coach, and Ed Ellis is his number 2 guy. And we were able to do some different walkthroughs and things with the players and in the off season. So we got a little bit, since the last time we talked, we feel like we know quite a little bit more about our players than what we did before. That's a long answer.
Thanks, Coach. Specifically on your offensive line, when you left Arkansas, you left the biggest offensive line in the country, and last year they averaged under 300 pounds across the board. How big of an emphasis has that been to get them bigger and also putting on the right kind of weight?
Huge. That's a huge deal. And everybody knows, most people know, I love big athletic guys. I don't know really who wouldn't. But we put a heavy emphasis on strength, on gaining weight, obviously gaining the right type of weight. And we're trying to do that in recruiting. When I first got here, maybe 7 years ago now, whatever it was. We weren't a very big offensive line then either, and changed that fairly fast. So we're trying to change it on our team, trying to change it on, but like Cunningham, if he could get up to 310, 315, I think he's got a lot of talent, but, it's going to be hard to set on a bull at 285 pounds, especially when the DN weighs 275 pounds. You know how it is in this league. I just don't think you can survive without big people on the offense or the defensive line. There's a big person league, basically, and it starts up front with both sides of the ball.
Obviously the big issue you would have is you have two coordinators that are installing a new offense and a defense, and you can get in rooms and talk about this, but they all also need to be out there on the field and watching players try to do this. And we've had tremendous problems over the last couple of years, especially with installing the offense, the defense. It didn't seem to work. They weren't where they wanted to be, and fans are really worried about that. Will this impact Kendall Briles' ability to install that offense? Barry Odom's ability to go to his defense? I mean, you concerned about that?
No, I'm really not. I mean, you're going to practice in the high 20s. If they said you couldn't have anything, but we had the regular time frame as we always do, starting in August. If you just count Tuesday, Wednesday practice, you're going to practice about half your season before the first game starts. So, there's some concern about all those stuff, but I don't know. You can't do anything about it. So, we're not going to harp on that. We're going to, we might install a little bit slower. Some guys would say faster, but I just don't think that you can install as fast as you possibly could in August if without having spring ball. So we may slow down. We may not have the total amount of offense that we normally would going into the Nevada game, but certainly we'd have enough to have success.
And finally, you mentioned Franks and Jefferson both coming off surgeries. Would this actually maybe help them a little bit if it pushes back, maybe way back when they actually have to be on the field? It'll give them both more time to recover?
Well, it's not going to hurt them. However, we felt like if we were practicing Monday of this week, that Franks and Jefferson both would have practiced. So it certainly can't hurt them. We have quite a few ailing injuries that we might have not had. Certainly we wouldn't have had our full roster ready to go, but so that'll help those guys. But percentage-wise, it's going to hurt the team of not being able to try to do how we're coaching them to do, more than just the injury guys getting healthy.
Okay, thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Scotty. Yeah, Coach, I was curious, you mentioned Traylon Smith. What specifically has stood out about him? I know he was getting some pretty rave reviews from the last coaching staff.
The way he works. I mean, the guy is a phenomenal effort guy. He has a lot of talent. We don't know if he can hang on to the ball or not. We'll see. I imagine he can, but just the way that he works, the way he goes about his business, he's a tough kid, and I've really grown fond of the way he works.
Nate?
Sam, can you see if this virus lifts by July, where they would just have everybody report early and just start, the whole preseason, like in July rather than early August?
Yeah, I don't really know. The season's long as it is, so I don't know. I still think the kids will need a break before that August 1st deal because, now we're at 12 games and some teams are at 14, some are at 15. I still think, I think the NFL is a 16-game season, we have school involved with that too and all that. I just don't know that we can start much faster than what we do now. I'm talking about practice-wise.
Right.
Obviously, you're doing a lot in the summer with the lifting and the 7-on-7s and all those type of things, but you're not able to coach the 7-on-7s. They're having basically captain practices at that point, but I don't know how we can. We'll do whatever they tell us to do, and we'll do it and be happy about it, but I don't know how we can go a lot longer than what we are now.
With the weights, I assume, unless somebody has weights at home, health clubs are pretty well shut down, I would think. Just how these offensive linemen, particularly, you have the weight gains, are going to be able to keep it up this summer.
I don't know that I heard the whole question. I think.
Well, just about your strength training. I mean, unless you're for now, nobody's back up here on campus. They're all at home, and I assume.
Well, we're hoping that they have access. We're hoping they have access, and that's what we're doing. Calling them each day. We're just trying to stay in touch with them and make sure that, number one is academics, and making sure that we have all our kids eligible and ready to go, and then, of course, making sure that they're working out. There's concern about that because we have nutrition staff, we have meals here for them. There's concern about maintaining weight. There's also concern about guys gaining too much and coming in here out of shape, but I don't know what we can do about it. All we can do is talk to them. We can get on FaceTime, I guess, and we FaceTime them, so I guess we see if they're putting on good weight or not, by that. But other than that, we have to trust our kids that they want to be as good as we want them to be.
As far as you mentioned Noah Gatlin, just how is he progressing from his surgery last fall?
Well, he's moving a lot better than what he did. Obviously, we think that the surgery was a success, and that he's done a lot with the team, and a lot of all the running basically, and the lifting. He's obviously had alternative workouts, but he's doing a nice job. He's a tough kid. I think he'll be ready to go by the time fall camp starts.
And finally, with Boyd, will he be on, especially kind of in if you do get a spring practice type of schedule, will he be on a different one than most as far as being held out of contact and that kind of thing?
No, he wouldn't be any different than anybody else, with the exception that obviously if we were going to scrimmage, we would limit some, we'd have a limit on his carries, but that would be the same way with Smith and Hammonds and Spivey. We would have a number of carries that we'd want him to get in the scrimmage. He obviously wouldn't get as many carries as some of the other kids that haven't shown as much as he has, but no, there wouldn't be any limit other than that on him.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Noted.
Hey, Sam, a couple of things. I think Trey kind of hit on one of my questions, and I'll ask it a little different way, but who's maybe a leader or two on offense, who's shown the best leadership on offense and defense? And then I have one more after that.
Offense, I think Mike Woods is a guy that's done that. You have several on the offensive line that, but just right off the top is Stromberg, Clinton, and Cunningham. Felipe Franks has done a good job along with KJ Jefferson. I tell you, who works hard is Jack Lindsey and Jones. I mean, them guys work their butt off. But leadership-wise, probably more towards Franks there. And on defense, Catalan has done a really good job with Mason. Those guys in the secondary have done a really good job. And then probably at the linebacker spot has been Morgan. Cole and Henry are a little bit limited. We expect them to be really good leaders, but Edwards, Morgan there, and then on the D-line, Marshall's been the one that's stuck out the most as far as leadership goes. Coates has probably been the one that stuck out as much athletically. He's a big athletic guy that can run now.
Okay, and then also, Coach, this is kind of speculating, but the camps are usually in June, football camps for, high school kids coming up. Are those still being scheduled, or is that up in the air too?
Well, they're up in the air.
Yeah.
We obviously have dates for them, but who knows? Who knows what's going on? We're in contact with the high school kids. We're, basically it's, hey, when this all breaks up, come see us, and when, and they understand it too. They get it. I do think it was very valuable to get high school kids on campus before this started, and we offered several in the 2 junior days we had. I thought our coaches did a really good job of getting talented kids on campus, and Callie and Maddie did a great job of organizing our junior days. I thought they went really well, but I don't know exactly what's going to go on. Obviously, nobody does, but
right.
It's all a little bit different.
Okay. Hey, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.